Trucker Dump for November 29th, 2016, episode 118, Coffee and Truck Safety.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey there, Trucker Dumpers. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all were not expecting a Thanksgiving themed podcast because I haven't done one of those since 2001. 2001. I wasn't doing this blog in 2001. 2011. It was Trucker Dump 78 called A Trucker's Thanksgiving. I'm very proud of that post. It's one of my very favorite. It's very snarky for a Thanksgiving theme. So I just put my own little spin on it, and I'm really proud of that post. So if you're interested in that, go to abouttruckdriving.com, type in the search box TD118, or you can just go to the show notes and there'll be a link there. By the way, if you don't know where the show notes are, if you're listening on your phone and a podcast app, I don't know how to find them. Every app is different, but most apps support clickable links in there, so you could just be able to click there and go right over. Or if you're actually on the web, just on my website, I've been putting all the blog posts, not the blog post, all the podcast show notes at the very bottom of each blog post now. Hey, speaking of Thanksgiving and turkey, well, we just got done with an election. Wow, what a mess. You know, I'm not going to get very political here. But I didn't really like either candidate. You know, one was a liar, and I'm convinced she's a crook. I'm convinced she's a freaking criminal. And the other one can't keep his mouth shut and has no idea what he's doing and is quite scary, quite honestly. So I don't know. It's like, you know, the lesser of two evils. You know, hey, whatever. The only thing I've got to say, though, is for you liberals out there, you Democrats who are very disappointed that Trump got in, you're thinking to yourself right now, how in the double hockey sticks did Trump get elected president with his qualifications? Well, I would just like to remind you that that is exactly what the Republicans were saying about Obama in 2008. So, well, there you go. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting 4 years. You know, I do have one more thing to say about it. Man, it's probably going to get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know, lots of people were upset when Obama was elected president, thought the country was going to go in the crapper and just, you know, everything was going to be horrible and it was going to ruin America. And, you know, I don't remember the Republicans needing psychiatrists, needing to go to grief counselors, things like that, yet they've got that going on in the schools because Trump was elected president. Now, my thinking here is, what are they teaching in these schools? You know, they always say, oh, they're not biased. Schools aren't biased. They're not biased one way or another. Well, I just don't remember this happening. You know, schools, I heard some schools actually let out because Trump was elected president. I have just never heard of that before. I doubt it's ever happened. So people just quit being so freaking sensitive, you know? If you don't like the guy, you know, I wouldn't worry about it too much because, quite honestly, even the Republicans, the Republican politicians don't like Trump. So I doubt he gets anything done that he wants to do. So don't panic. Let's actually see how things go before everybody starts throwing a fit about it. Okay, I went on longer than that than I wanted to. You know, it has been a long time since I posted. I would apologize, but I'm just not going to. Because, you know, it's the holiday season. I'm lazy. That's the way it works. I never promised to put out any of these on a specific time frame, and I think I'm just going to stick to that so I don't have any goals to reach. Wow. How horrible is that? Anyway, I did have time to do some more recording over on SingSnap. That's singsnap.com, by the way. It's a karaoke site. It's kind of cheesy. I don't know. I just have fun. I used to be a singer in a band. And I keep getting suckier and suckier over the years. So the recordings I did over there in 2009 or 2010, 2011 are a lot better than the ones that I just did the other night. But anyway, did some, let's see, I did a Bread song, I did a John Denver song, did some Elvis. Yeah, just had a little fun over there. And all my stuff is over there if you're interested in hearing me butcher some really good songs. Link in the show notes. Okay, what's next? Drivers. What are we going to do with them? I wrote that blog post, did the podcast on Trucker Dump 66, which was all about, what was it called? Oh, Truckers Go Turtle Racing. All about two trucks trying to pass each other and get around each other. And, I just wish every single trucker out there would read this, especially new drivers. I'm actually thinking about cutting it down, leaving out the rest of the, just keeping the audio portion of just the actual blog post and taking out all the feedback comments and all the opening stuff like that. And I'm thinking about packaging that somehow and just sending it to every truck driving school in the nation. Just see if I can find a list of them somewhere and just send it to them. Say, play this for free. Hey, maybe it'll get me a few listeners when they hit the road out here. But also, I think it teaches a valuable lesson about, not blocking traffic to let people around. Well, I had this happen to me again the other day. I was coming around this guy. I was gaining on him very slowly, as you'll hear in a second. But, I was coming around him, and I looked back in my rearview mirror. There was nobody back there, and I thought, okay, I'm going to finally make my break. I'd already tried a couple times and then gave up, got back behind. And I, had wide open, so I thought, I'm going to try it again. So I tried it again, got out there, and I got up behind him, finally creeping up alongside him a little bit. I'm trying to get him on the CB. He's not listening. Finally, I get even with him, and I hold my CB up, and then he gets on the CB and he takes an exit real fast and he starts cussing at me, saying, "You're not faster than me. Why are you trying to pass me?" And I said, "Well, I am faster than you, clearly, because I'm gaining on you, right?" And he goes, "No, you ain't faster than me. It took you 50 miles to catch up to me." What did he just say? I caught up to him, right? Does that not mean that I'm faster than him? We truckers are a very brilliant breed of people. Some of us are. I don't know. I just couldn't believe what he said. I actually said that to him. I was on the CB. I said, "Did you just hear what you just said? I caught you. Therefore, I am going faster than you." Didn't hear another word from him. Anyway, he took the exit ramp, which was stupid. He was like, "I got to take the exit ramp because of you now." Well, all he had to do was tap his brakes. I do it 5 times a day to let people around me. It takes 10 seconds, Good grief. Anyway, people don't do that. And if you haven't heard this particular podcast, go over Trucker Dump 66 and check that out. Link in the show notes, of course. Hey, did I mention? Oh, yeah. Wait. I can't remember what what I said earlier. Did I mention that all the blog posts are at the bottom of, or all the podcast notes are at the bottom of each blog post now on the website? I think I did. If I didn't, I just said it again for those of you who weren't paying attention. All right. Hey, got a couple of tips for you here. First, there's a new app out called Scale Buster. You guys heard of this? It's available on Android and iOS, and it's kind of like it's supposed to tell you, whether the scales are open. You can report it, kind of like Trucker Path does, only it's also got an extra feature where you can report like surprise roadside checks and stuff like that. I haven't looked at the app very closely, but the developer reached out to me and asked me if I'd mention it on here. So if you like playing with new apps and stuff, check out Scale Buster and give me a holler and let me know what you think of it. I'm playing around with it and things I like about it and things I don't. So I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm still playing with it. It's still a fairly new app, so I'm going to give it a go. Another new cool app, which I may have mentioned before, is the Pilot app. Is pretty darn cool now. One thing I use it for all the time is reserving my showers. So now when I get out of my truck, I can well, heck, when I'm even sitting in my truck, you can go in there, you can hit a couple of buttons, and you can find out if there's a wait on showers. If there is, you can go ahead and reserve it, and it's not going, unfortunately, I hear the TA app will actually email you and tell you when your shower's ready. This one doesn't do that, but it does tell you whether showers are available. So I will often be sitting in my truck, and then I'll reserve my shower, and then it gives you 10 minutes to walk inside. And man, I do that all the time. I just walk straight to the back, look up at the monitor, see my number, walk back there and grab my shower. It's awesome. Now, another thing they're doing, though, Pilot is running a promo. I assume most of you have seen this out on the fuel pumps, but they're running a promo right now that if you start the fuel pumps with the Pilot app, you get 100 extra rewards points for every time you fuel. Now, that's like $1 a pop. So I've been trying to do that every time I pull in. I have to say, though, this is very disappointing. I've had some good luck. Like, I had great luck today. I was actually second back in the line, and the guy was taking his time in front of me, and it was really handy because I just typed in all my information. It saves a lot of your information for you, so you don't have to re-enter it. But then, by the time I got up to the pump, I was already activated. And, even it said down there that you had 30 minutes to start the pump. So that's cool because, if a guy's taking 30 minutes to fuel in front of you, something's wrong. You need to just go punch him in the mouth or something, get him to move. But, the guy moved in about 10 minutes and I was up there, and all you have to do is enter a 6-digit code and the pump starts right up. No entering anything. It's actually a little bit slower from my experience if you actually pull up and there's no wait, and you actually pull up and start the pump on your phone. I think it's actually a little bit slower, and it's certainly slower when it fails, which that's what I was talking about. Probably about 40% of the time now it fails. It'll go through the whole rigmarole. You're sitting there, you're watching the thing try to connect to the store and everything. It gets all the way through, and then the very last step, it says can't connect to the store. And that just, I went in and asked the people if it was just me. I thought maybe I just need to re-download the app or something. But they said, nope, it's everybody. Everybody comes in bitching and screaming at them about it, like it's their fault. They didn't build the stinking app. They're just working behind the counter. Don't take it out on them, people. But, I just think it's kind of crappy. If Pilot wants to put a promotion out there like that to, earn extra points, if you use it, then perhaps it ought to work, at least, 80% of the time. I don't know. I just haven't had great luck with it. It's a great feature when it works. It's totally awesome, and I love earning an extra 100 points. So, oh well, I guess I'll take what I can get. But anyway, you can check that out. Pilot has apps on for Android and iOS also. Check it out. It's pretty cool, and it's got a cool new interface, cool new design. I like it a lot better than the old one. The old one was but ugly. Now, Pilot, if anybody from Pilot is listening, the only thing I want you to do is add station codes, COM data codes, TCH codes, things like that, so I don't have to call and ask when I need to fuel out of route. Get on that, people. All right. Okay, later on in the show, we have a couple of comments. Both of them are very similar. One is from an Indian gentleman. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name right now because I'm going to butcher it, so I only want to try it once. But he asked about starting as a driving career. And another guy, Chad Case, he asked if he should go OTR. So kind of that's the whole feedback section right there. We're just going to talk about getting into trucking or changing the type of trucking you do. I went back and forth with Chad a couple of times, and I think that's pretty good information for any new driver or any driver that's coming into the industry. And I want you experienced dudes to have a listen to what I said and let me know if I told him right, if I told him wrong. But you know what? First, I have a review, and I'm pretty darn proud of this review. Well, I'm not going to jump the gun here. But anyway, I put this up as a separate post on abouttruckdriving.com. So you can go over there. There's a link in the show notes. I don't really know why you'd need to do that. but all the links in this blog post will be in the show notes. Anyway, this is called the AeroPress. It is, well, just an interesting little coffee maker. There's a video on here too, so you actually might want to go over to abouttruckdriving.com and I don't know what you type in. Probably coffee in the search engine. It'll pop right up. If you're listening to this right after this episode came out, it will be the first episode probably, or the second. It'll be the second. Well, it'll be on that first page anyway. Okay. All right. Let's get on with this review. Oh, and if I didn't make it clear, this is just the first part. I do have a normal blog post coming up a bit later. So get a 2-for-1 this time, which I guess makes up for maybe being gone so long. Maybe. Okay, maybe not. I called this a trucker's review of the AeroPress coffee maker. Wow, that's original. So brilliant. All right, let's cut to the chase here. If you're a coffee lover, you really need to check out the AeroPress coffee maker. If you're not a coffee lover, then you really, really, really need to check out the AeroPress coffee maker. Yeah, I realize it's going to take some explaining. You know, I first found out about the AeroPress from Constance over at Aerobee, that's the makers of the AeroPress, when she emailed me about reviewing the product. Here's a snippet from her email. 1 minute with the USA-made AeroPress makes a delicious cup of coffee and a quick light rinse cleans it up. It's a great option for truckers because it's small, sturdy, and lightweight, so it's easy to travel with. As long as you've got a source of hot water, you've got a smooth, rich cup of coffee. Also, the quick brewing process helps keep the acid level in the coffee low, meaning it's gentler on the stomach than drip or French press brew. In fact, AeroPress brewed coffee is so smooth and flavorful that many people find they love the taste even without cream or sugar. Okay, there are 3 ridiculous claims here that jam my skepticism meter into the red zone. 1, the AeroPress makes coffee in 1 minute. 2, the AeroPress is easy to clean. Yeah, right. And 3rd, the AeroPress brewing process yields lower acid levels and less bitterness. So does the AeroPress coffee maker live up to all these claims? Ridiculous claim number 1. The AeroPress makes coffee in 1 minute. Alan Adler, creator of the AeroPress, says that, and I quote, extended brewing times results in over-extraction and the result is a bitter, acidic taste. End quote. He says brewing coffee with 175-degree water, that's 80 degrees Celsius, for 30 seconds is all that's needed. Say what? Well, we'll get to the bitterness claim in a minute, but let's focus on the coffee in 1 minute absurdity first. Okay, first go watch the short video showing the AeroPress in action and then come back. No, seriously, I'm not going to tell you again. Don't make me start counting. I'm getting my belt. Head over to abouttruckdriving.com, type coffee into the search bar, or follow that link in the show notes. Okay, you back? I tried it for myself, and technically, this claim is true. The AeroPress takes approximately 1 minute to make the coffee. Let's break it down. It takes about 30 seconds to unscrew the filter cap, add a filter, pop it back on, add the coffee and water, and stir. Another 30 seconds to press the plunger, and you've got coffee. Now, not to be nitpicky, but technically this does not account for preparing the hot water. Now, the evil overlord and I used to have a little hot water dispenser installed under our sink at the house. It was awesome! We had instant hot water for oatmeal, tea, or whatever. But, I don't have that kind of luxury in the truck. Now, a normal microwave could heat up water in a minute or two, but due to my low wattage inverter, my wimpy 700 watt microwave takes about 4 minutes to reach the desired 175 degree temperature, which I measure with a cheap deep fry / candy thermometer from Walmart. Still, this isn't a deal breaker. It's only 5 minutes total, folks. Or is it? Ridiculous claim number 2. The AeroPress is easy to clean. Now, the only thing I cook in my truck is instant oatmeal and canned soup, and the only silverware and dishes I use are disposable. The reason? Cleanup. No way I'm going to keep a messy coffee maker in my truck. Now, the evil overlord used to cook in the truck a lot, and she'd always mumble curses as she cleaned up afterwards. Now, I don't mind washing the dishes at home, but trying to do it in a truck without running water in a sink is only slightly less annoying than listening to Gilbert Gottfried's voice while he's scraping his fingernails across a giant chalkboard. Sure, I could do the cleanup inside the truck stop, but that's a pain too. Surprisingly, the AeroPress lives up to the call. I was shocked at how easy it cleaned up. Now, if you watched that video like a good little boy or girl, you did, didn't you? You might have noticed there were a few coffee grounds left over that easily wipe away. It's true. I use an old peanut butter jar for cleanup. Lord knows I've got plenty of those laying around. I placed the AeroPress on top of the jar, just like you do on the mug, and push the plunger out the bottom of the unit, just like you do to make coffee. The coffee grounds and the filter go directly into the jar, and there's virtually nothing to clean. I usually don't even use any water. A quick wipe with a paper towel, and I'm done. Ridiculous claim number 3. The AeroPress brewing process yields lower acid levels and less bitterness. Alrighty then, back to the bitterness issue. Now, my gut can usually handle a normal amount of coffee, but add in an extra shot of espresso or order a large coffee and it'll eventually give me at least a hint of rot gut. The evil overlord's tummy is even more sensitive to coffee. That's why I can't wait to make her a cup of joe with the AeroPress. Now, I've used the AeroPress a handful of times already, and I haven't even had the faintest hint of a bellyache. But there's another part of this claim that was mentioned in the promo email, that the AeroPress coffee is, quote, so smooth and flavorful that many people find they love the taste even without cream or sugar, end quote. This statement is what really threw my skepticism meter into overload. I've heard coffee nerds talking about how you shouldn't need cream and sugar if you're using good quality coffee. Well, I guess I've never had good coffee then, because to me, all coffee is horribly bitter unless you put a crap ton of cream and sugar in it. And if I'm truthful, the way I normally drink coffee is what my friends call frou-frou drinks. Give me a raspberry white chocolate mocha or a pumpkin spice latte, and I'm a happy, albeit slightly girly, kind of guy. I'd even be happier if I wasn't getting it from Starbucks usually, which to any coffee aficionado is known to be some of the most bitter coffee on the planet. I agree. It always gives me a horrible aftertaste, and my tongue always feels like it's been scoured with sandpaper. Don't know what that's all about. Perhaps that's the high acid levels talking? So I went for broke, and I tried the coffee brewed in the AeroPress without cream and sugar. Now, while I will say I didn't taste the bitterness that I have with every other black coffee I've tried in the past, I'm not going to be giving up my frou-frou drinks anytime soon. Still, in the past, I didn't really even like coffee with just cream and sugar, but with the AeroPress coffee maker, I can do it easily. Heck, in a pinch, I could even go without cream and sugar. So if you've always avoided coffee because of its bitterness, or that it makes rumblies in your tumblies, that is why I say you should really, really, really try the AeroPress. You might actually start liking coffee again. So what's the final verdict? Here's the thing. I'm not a huge coffee drinker. For some reason, God decided to bless me with the ability to live a perfectly normal life without caffeine, and I never want to kill anyone. Most days, I can drive a full 11 hours without any caffeine, but every trucker knows there are those days when you need a little extra pick-me-up. Those are the days I reach for the AeroPress. It takes 4 minutes to heat the water. While it's heating, I'm changing the filter and adding the coffee. 30 seconds later, and I'm on my way to Caffeineville. Probably takes another minute or two to pop the grounds out, wipe it down, and store it away in the handy travel bag. And since I'm a frou-frou man, it takes another minute to add milk and sugar to satisfy my girly tongue. Now, I should also mention that you can make up to 3 shots of espresso at once if you're one of those drivers who drinks multiple cups at a time. I'll leave that to you. If I drank that much coffee in one sitting, my eyeballs would likely pop out of my head. Now, maybe you're thinking, dude, I could run into a truck stop and grab a cup of coffee quicker than that. You know, that's probably true. But I guarantee you I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee more than you do. I will have spent less dough, leaving more money for healthy stuff like dough nuts. And I got to choose the kind of coffee I wanted instead of being at the mercy of whatever truck stop is nearby. I won't have a bitter aftertaste either. And perhaps best of all, I'm not going to be screeching into a rest area with a nasty case of the runs either. Now, I know some of you are out there thinking, I don't think coffee is all that bitter. You still might want to give the AeroPress a go. I'm sure even your refined tongue will be able to taste the difference. Unless, of course, your taste buds are dead from all the acid you already submitted to. Coffee acid, that is. Please don't be on acid when you're driving a semi. If you couldn't tell by now, I highly recommend the AeroPress coffee maker. You can pick one up online for less than $30, or you can find them at many retailers including Target, Kohl's, Bed Bath & Beyond, and even Starbucks. Or you can visit the store locator on their website. Link in the show notes to that. And if you want to keep all the parts together in one handy place, you can pick up the travel bag for a few extra bucks. Buyer beware here. There are a few knockoffs running around out there, so if you're in doubt, check out this list of authorized sellers. Link in the show notes. Well, that was fun doing a review. I enjoy those. I always think they're going to be shorter than they are. That could have almost been a blog post all its own. Well, which it was on the website, but I could have almost done a whole podcast just around that. But I didn't. Just thought I would throw it in. That's why I would like to do these reviews. Keep them nice and short. Toss them in at the beginning. Add extra value to the podcast. Well, it worked this time. So anyway. First though, I guess we should mention a few other things before we get on with the main post. Last podcast, I asked you folks if you thought I should have a Facebook page. I heard from only a handful of you guys. I heard from a few of you on Twitter. Of course, I didn't save those messages because I'm dumb, but I also got a couple of emails. One is from a guy called Kevin. He wrote, "Yes, a Facebook page is required. Put on your big girl panties and get it done." Okay. Oh, how do you know I wore panties? I'm not wearing any panties. Pat wrote in also and said, "Do it, Todd, if only for pics or vids from the road." Well, Pat, here's the thing. I don't take a lot of pictures from the road, and I don't take a lot of video. Maybe I should. Maybe if I had a Facebook page, that would motivate me. But here's what this told me. I get between, 200 to anywhere from 200 to 500 people listen to this show on a regular basis. And if I got like 6 people tell me to do it, I just don't think it's worth it. But you know what? I am not going to leave you guys out hanging in the wind completely because, well, part of the reason I think I mentioned last week is that I wanted to be on Facebook is because there was sharing. It was easier to share with your friends and stuff like that. Like if I was to put up something or you were to put up something on there, it's easy for me to share your stuff with everybody, but then the evil overlord said, "Hey, it's not easy to share Facebook stuff unless you're sharing it within Facebook. You can't, kind of like Google Plus, you can't just get a link to it and share it with outside people, people outside that ecosystem. That makes no freaking sense to me." But, I talked to Buck over at the Trucking Podcast, gave him a shout because they have a Facebook page, and he said kind of the same thing. You can't really share that much, and he said, even if you've got 200 people, somehow Facebook figures out that they're only going to let 50 people see it or something like that. They have some kind of a ratio thing that I don't understand, but to me, it just doesn't seem worth it. So as of now, unless I get an overwhelming response that everybody wants me to have a Facebook page, I don't mean all 200, but if I get, 50, 75 people saying they want it, then I might do it. But for now, I've kind of given a stopgap, and I've been considering doing this for a while, and I went ahead and did it. What I have done is I started a Slack group for Trucker Dump. Now, you probably heard me talk about the Slack group with the iTruckers group. Now, that is a separate group. You guys won't be associated with them, so you won't have to listen to us talk about all our Apple gear and how much we love Apple and how much we love to spend our money on their products and all that kind of good stuff. Now, I'm having a blast over in that channel, and it's, we've gotten some new people over there thanks to Shannon Holden, who actually did a promo for it on Today in iOS, which is another podcast. And man, we picked up, 4 or 5 new guys over there. So that was cool. Some of them have already come in and gone, and other ones have stuck around. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. I started a Trucker Dump Slack channel. Again, Slack is it's like a glorified chat app. You can chat with each other. You can post videos. You can put links to neat articles that you found, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be all trucking related. It doesn't have to be tech related. Right now, I have a few different channels in there. I put up one for hours of service. I put up one for equipment. I put up one for technology. You know, if you want to talk about your GPS or something like that, or even your Android phones or your iPhone, whatever. I put up some different ones, and then there's a general in there that just for talking. You know, I want to be able to talk to you listeners out there, and I just kind of feel like with the iTruckers Slack group that I'm being exclusive. I'm like saying I'm only going to talk to you guys. You know, I'm only going to talk to you Apple lovers. Screw the rest of the listeners. But I don't want that. I want to talk to you guys. Have some back and forth. I think it'd be fun. So if you're interested in joining that, Slack is a free app. It's available on every platform you can get. Mac, Windows, which I love the Mac app. The iOS app's pretty good too. So they have it available for Android and iOS. You can download that for free. Just look for Slack. It's got a kind of an ugly icon, but it's a cool app anyway. And what you want to do is you want to send me an invite request. That invite request will be sent to truckerdump@gmail.com, and in the subject line, if you would, just put Slack in there, and I'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Right now, I've got a couple of guys who have already joined. Trucker Bob and Shannon joined from the iTruckers group because they're already on Slack, and it's easy just to switch over to a new thing. So they joined over there. So there's already a couple people in there. Not a whole lot going on in there yet, but get in on the ground floor. I think it'd be kind of fun. And you know what? If it fails miserably, I'll just cancel the whole thing and just tell you guys before I do it. Obviously, not just going to dump you all. I would tell you that it's, there's not enough people in there. But, we've only really got, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 active users in the iTruckers group. And it's just a lot of fun. We all get along over there, and it stays fairly active, and it's just a hoot. So I hope you join Trucker Dump Slack channel. No, Trucker Dump Slack group. truckerdump@gmail.com, subject line Slack. And don't forget, you can always just email me for whatever reason, truckerdump@gmail.com. You can also send audio comments. Love those. Haven't had any of those in a while. Keep those around 2 to 3 minutes, Got something to say it, and get done. Try not to ramble. That's my job. Anyway, well, this is going faster than I thought. So anyway, I guess we'll get on with the main blog post. All right, this one I call Truck Safety, Constant Vigilance or Fate. I've been thinking a lot about truck safety lately. More specifically, I've been wondering about how much control the driver has when it comes to having a safe driving record. Is it simply a matter of constant vigilance, or does fate have a part in it? For those of you who listen to the podcast, in the last few episodes, you've probably heard me hinting about an accident I had recently. Well, today is the day I spill the beans. The accident happened back in February. It was early afternoon, and I was nearly out of driving hours. Now, since both the DOT and my company tend to frown on log violations, I was hoping to find a spot at the Pilot in Hammond, Louisiana. I pulled into the lot behind and perpendicular to the fuel bays and stopped to check out the situation. There were a couple trucks backing in, and the lot was already jam-packed. Just then, I saw a driver pulling out of a spot. What luck! The thing is, I need to back up just a tad to turn left and go through the fuel bays to get lined up for it. And being in a hurry, I glanced in my mirror and started backing up. I heard a quick honk, and I jammed on the brakes. Whew, that was close. I started turning left to go out through the fuel bays when I saw the driver jump out of his truck and weighed me down. Uh-oh. I had only pulled up about 5 feet, so I yanked the brake and walked back to meet him. Sure enough, I had barely tapped him. And when I say barely, I mean barely. Go to the show notes and check out the picture so you don't think I'm exaggerating. That right there, folks, is $1,100 worth of damage, which ironically was how much my safety bonus check was short this year. Anyway, I suggested we both park before we take care of the paperwork. For one thing, I didn't want to lose that spot I had seen, and for another, we were blocking the fuel bays. Thankfully, he agreed. I got my spot, and lucky for him, he was bobtailing, so he had no problems finding parking. We both called our respective companies and swapped information. I said to him, "I can't believe I hit you. I didn't feel a thing, and I barely started backing up." He said, "Yeah, I was pretty close to your bumper." Okay, so whose fault was this accident? Okay, clearly it was mine. Despite the situation, I'm pretty sure any insurance company is going to lay the blame on the person who's backing up. That's probably accurate about 95% of the time. But what happens if someone were to dart behind you as you're backing and there's no way you could have seen them? This happens all the time to me behind customers like Walmart and Lowe's and places like that. I don't know what cars are doing behind there, but they're always back there. So anyway, is it still the backer's fault in that situation? What about if some moron pulls up 5 feet from your rear bumper? Whose fault is it then? Okay, I admit, in this scenario, it's still my fault. I did check one mirror, but I didn't check both mirrors like I know I'm supposed to. I was in a hurry and I let my guard down for just an instant. Again, I'm not exaggerating when I say an instant. After I'd pulled in and stopped, it honestly only took me about 5 seconds before I saw the guy pull out of that spot. Literally 5 seconds. I barely had time to stop before I was grabbing for reverse. That means within that 5-second time frame, the other truck must have pulled up within 5 feet of my bumper and stopped. Now, I'd like to call him an idiot, but how do I know he didn't have a 5-second lapse of attention too? I've learned 2 lessons from this encounter. 1, always leave plenty of space between you and the truck in front of you. Obviously, I already knew this, but this was just another really crappy way of reminding me again. This goes for parking lots and stoplights. You never know what the moron in front of you, me in this case, is going to do. The second lesson I learned is that sometimes bad luck and fate are just going to get you. Here's the skinny. As many of you know, I've done 2 podcasts about drivers being complacent when it comes to truck safety. The first was Trucker Dump 97, which was called A Trucker's Worst Nemesis, Complacency, and the second being Trucker Dump 104, which was called Complacency Strikes. Links in the show notes to both of those. Now, for those of you who listen to this podcast, you probably already know I get more feedback from these 2 podcasts than just about anything else. Truck safety has been on my mind more than it ever has. Because of these articles, I've been more cautious in almost everything I do. When I'm turning a corner, even if I'm 100% positive I have plenty of room, I always pay close attention to my mirror so I can guarantee my trailer is making it around whatever I'm trying to avoid. When I'm driving through a busy parking lot, I'm always looking from side to side to make sure no one darts out in front of me or some moron car has decided to use the truck stop parking lot as a trial for the Indy 500. I'm looking at you, evil overlord. God, that woman. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she rams on the gas every time she hits a parking lot. Scares the hell out of me. My nephews love it, though. Anyway, for quite a few years now, I think I've been better than the average driver when it comes to truck safety. Helping both cars and trucks getting onto highways, letting drivers change lanes, waving vehicles out from busy driveways, and slowing down when a slightly faster truck is passing are just a few of the things I've practiced for many years. But I have been even more diligent about this ever since I wrote those 2 blog posts. I better be. I gotta walk the walk, you know? Up until February, I hadn't had an accident in ages. Now this. 1 5-second lapse of attention, and I've got a backing accident on my record with the CSA points to match. I'm pissed at myself, and I'm even more pissed when the other driver calls the cops out about 30 minutes later. Well, at least it wasn't a lot lizard pounding on my door, I guess. Now, I'm sure many of you are thinking that I just need to face the facts that I screwed up. You know what? I do. I completely admit it. Trust me, when you're married to the evil overlord for 23 years, you get good at admitting you're wrong about stuff. Largely because you are. Or I am. Wait. Oh, for Pete's sake, you know what I mean. Here's the question. Was my accident because of my lack of vigilance or just because it was my time? Now, I'd argue that a driver can't pay attention 100% of the time. They can try their best, but no one's perfect, right? Ah, you say, but what about the million milers? For you non-trucker listeners, million milers are drivers who have driven 1 million miles or more continuously without an accident or incident of any kind. Or are they? I'm going to go ahead and just admit this. I get distracted while I'm driving. I'm not a freaking robot. I can't stare at the road for a constant 11 hours. Well, actually 8 with the stupid 30-minute break now. Anyway, I can't do it with a brow-furrowing concentration on all things truck safety. Anyone who says they can is either some sort of idiot driving savant or a Pinocchio wannabe. There are times when your mind just wanders because you're listening to a good audiobook, your favorite podcast, Trucker Dump, or that wicked riff you just heard Megadeth play. Am I alone here? Come on, don't leave me hanging like a trucker's 3-piece suit. Granted, my mind only wanders away from truck safety whenever I'm on the open road. I'm not one of these guys who's listening to music or talking on the phone while he's back in the trailer, trying to maneuver around a tight spot, or barreling down an on-ramp. Yet, a measly 5 seconds of inattention, and here I am. So how do these million milers stay accident-free? Are they just super focused on truck safety? Have they practiced some Jedi concentration method that enables them to tap into the Force? How do they drive 1 million miles without a single screw-up? Well, in my experience, they didn't. Over the years, I've been able to talk to a handful of million-mile drivers. I asked them all the same question. Did they really drive 1 million miles without anything bad happening? Not one single driver told me that this was the case. None of them were all they're cracked up to be. One of them said he backed into another driver's mirror at a truck stop. It only caused minor damage, so the safety director kept it off his record. Now that is an accident in my book. Just because it's not in the books doesn't mean that it wasn't a lapse of judgment. Been there, done that. You've probably been there, done that too. Another million miler told me he was doing a tight back into a dock when he turned a little too sharply, causing his fairing wing to bend slightly when it hit the trailer. Oops. Again, he was getting close to the 1 million mile mark, and the safety director didn't want to run it for him over one tiny mistake. While that was really cool of the safety director, that's still an accident by truck safety standards. Yet another perfect, according to the sign on the truck, driver told me he was going down a residential street towards a shipper when he clipped a low-hanging electrical line. In this particular case, he actually had to argue with the safety department, but eventually got it overturned because he was following directions that were given to him by his company to get to that particular customer. So in other words, he had an accident, but still retains his million-mile status. So my question is this. Is there anyone out there who's truly accident-free? Have you never let your guard down for even 1 second? Or are you just the luckiest trucker on the planet? If you are, I'd love to hear from you about how you accomplished this superhuman feat. Email me at truckerdump@gmail.com. Seriously, I want to hear from you. Now, it seems to me that when it's your time, it's your time. You can do everything you can to avoid accidents, but when your number is called, you've got no choice but to step up to the meat counter and accept your nasty slab of beef liver. I tell a story in my book, which is called Trucking Life, an entertaining yet informative guide to becoming and being a truck driver, link in the show notes, about a question that was asked at my truck driving school way back in 1997. Here's an excerpt from Trucking Life. Knowing the difference between a preventable and non-preventable accident can be confusing. In driving school, we were told this scenario and asked if it would be considered preventable or non-preventable. You give it a try. Pay attention, there may be a quiz afterwards. Say you're coming up on a red traffic light at a busy intersection. Just as you start to slow down, the light changes to green and you proceed. Suddenly, to your left, you see a car that isn't slowing down. You hit the brakes, but it's too late. The car ran the red light and hit your truck. As for your part, is it preventable or non-preventable? This is where the Jeopardy music would be playing if it weren't copyrighted. Be sure to answer in the form of a question. Now, everyone in my class agreed that since the other guy ran the red light, the truck driver would be cited with a non-preventable accident. What do you think? If you agreed with this, you'd be wrong. You, the super trucker, would be charged with a preventable accident. Say what? Yeah, our sentiments exactly. What you've got to remember is that when they're determining whether an accident was preventable or non-preventable, they're not trying to determine who's at fault. They're simply trying to figure out if the accident could have been avoided. Now, in this case, it was clearly the automobile's fault because it ran a red light. Certainly, your green light meant that you had the right of way, but having a green light isn't enough. Everyone knows that you're supposed to check both ways before you enter an intersection. What most drivers don't think about is that this also applies to traffic lights. Now, because the trucker didn't look both ways and entered the intersection when someone was coming, that accident could have, supposedly, been avoided. That's insane, you say? Yeah, we thought so too. We argued with the instructor about it forever, but lost in the end. That's the end of the book excerpt. So do you see what I mean? You could be tooling along, minding your own business, and making the truck safety gods happy, when all of a sudden, something happens that you have no control over. Maybe you're cruising along a Wyoming highway and a gust of wind blasts you off the road. What are you supposed to do about that? What about black ice? It's called that because you can't freaking see it. Some may argue that you shouldn't be on the road if conditions are icy. But I bet you there isn't a single driver listening to this who hadn't been surprised by an icy spot on the road before. And if you haven't yet, well, good times are coming, my friend. Just you wait. That'll put a whole new meaning to the term trucker dump. What if you're pulling into a truck stop and you stop for 5 seconds and then some moron stops right behind you and you back into him? Okay, still a bad example. So I guess the point is this. All we can do as drivers is try our best. We can try not to let our phones distract us, and we can choose to watch the road instead of looking for attractive seat covers as I drive by. We can try not to drive in bad weather. We can get out and look every single time we back in, multiple times. And we should do all these things. But ultimately, none of us can control every single thing around us. So in the end, we just have to face the fact that when it's our time for a boo-boo, it's our time. One thing's for certain. The safest place you can be right now is 5 feet behind my truck, because there ain't no way I'm making that mistake again. Until I quit concentrating for 5 seconds again. I'm screwed.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
All right, so here we go with the feedback. You know, I gotta tell you, I'm almost caught up on feedback. I know it's hard to believe, but, hey, I guess that's what's going to happen when you only put out a podcast once a month. So anyway, if you want to get your stuff read, now's the time to kick it out. I'll probably catch up on the very next podcast. So that means the one after that will be, well, you'll probably be on there. So anyway, get your audio comments in, truckerdump@gmail.com. Send in your regular old email if you want to be boring and stuff. No, seriously, I'll take it anyway. I know a lot of people are microphone shy. No, I don't blame them. You never get used to your voice. It's awful. Anyway, who do we got first? Oh, darn it. Yeah, all right, I'm going to try to pronounce this guy's name, so get ready to laugh. It's kind of funny. I actually do know how to pronounce his last name because he shares the last name as Vijay Singh, who is a golfer, and I know that. But I don't know how to pronounce his first name. It's spelled Jagdeep. So I'm guessing Jadeep. Am I right? I don't know. I'm not Indian. Anyway, he writes in, and this is a little hard to understand. I'm getting that this is probably his... not his first language, but I love hearing from everyone anyway. He says, "Hello, sir." Wow. Sir. Ah! Has he seen me? Oh, perhaps he has, and he's seen my gray hair and figure I deserve it. Anyway, he says, "My name is Jadeep Singh, and I am from India. Immigrants to Canada in 2010. Now I'm working in a manufacturer company, and the company has no more orders, so work is slow. Now I'm thinking to drive a truck and need Class 1 license, and am wondering what type of life in trucking, and I already read your story." So you already read my book. That's cool. "I'm 51 years old and living with 4 family members in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Right now, I am not financially strong, so please suggest what is good for me 2 of my friends driving truck and they lived a happy life. I passed a written test with air brake. Please suggest me. Thank you. With best regard, Jadip Singh. And I hope I didn't butcher your name, man. Sorry about that, Mr. Singh. Anyway, I wrote back to him. I am sorry to hear about your manufacturing job going. That seems to be happening a lot in the last many, many years. Anyway, congrats on passing the written brake test, though. Trucking can be a very satisfying career, especially for guys like me who don't have a good college degree. Most new drivers can make $40,000 to $45,000 US in their first year if you're a hard worker and if you choose a good company to work for. Now, 51 years old is certainly not too old to get started. My father-in-law was in his 60s when he started. You do have to watch your health as you get older, though. The trucking industry is getting stricter about health issues. Unfortunately, my father-in-law lost his DOT medical card, but that was really his own fault. No self-discipline caused him to get super fat, and his heart was already not the best. He did get about 10 years of driving in, though. Ultimately, I can't really tell you whether trucking is right for you or not. If you've already read my book, then I have very little more to offer. I would suggest you get with your 2 trucking friends and have some long conversations with them. Books will help, but nothing can beat learning about the lifestyle from someone you know personally. Now, if you do decide to start driving a truck, my advice would be to go to a truck driving school. I don't know about Canada, but many community colleges down here offer truck driving courses. They're usually cheaper than private companies. But there are also a lot of private companies that'll teach you. Again, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but here in the U.S., most trucking companies won't hire you unless you've gone to a real truck driving school. Once again, find out the path that your friends took. They'll likely know by now if they would do it differently than they did before. Anyway, Jadip, good luck with whatever you decide, and don't hesitate to write me again if you have further questions. I love answering questions like this. Anything I can help the newbies, well, that's why I wrote the book. So if I can help with an email, that's awesome too. All right, next up we got this exchange back and forth with Chad Case. He writes, I've been driving local most of my career, and currently I'm a log truck driver. You said log. I've driven regional. God, I'm 12 years old. He goes on. I've driven regional in the past, pulling hopper bottoms and walking floor trailers, and love that compared to my current job. Should I quit driving local in a log truck to go over the road? I know the ups and downs of both local and over the road, but I'm so tired of driving a log truck. Well, Chad, I know you aren't going to like the answer I'm going to give. But, as I've told many a dude, including Jadip just now, the only one that can figure out if trucking is right for you is you. But, let me see if I can at least provide some guidance. Okay, first you said you drove regional. How many days were you gone at a time? Was it long enough to get a taste of what over the road is really like? How'd you like being away from home? What's your social life like? Because over the road will totally change that. You said you loved regional compared to your local job. Was that because of the type of work, or being away from home, the money, or what? If you truly already know the ups and downs of both local and over the road, then you just have to decide which you prefer. What's holding you back from over the road? Is it being away from home for longer periods of time? Is it a spouse or significant other? If yes, then what do they think about you going over the road? Because if they're important to you, then their opinion is as important as yours. And if you're just tired of driving a log truck, there's plenty of other local work to do. Have you considered hauling fuel? How about a beer or soda truck? One thing you probably already know is that over the road will usually pay more than local work. So one thing you have to watch for is getting trapped by higher pay. That's the predicament I'm in right now. I've been driving so long that I can't find any local work that even come close to matching my over-the-road pay. So now if I want off the road, I have to be prepared for a huge pay cut. The difference in pay won't be as drastic when you're relatively new, but the longer you stay over the road, the more the pay gap will be. Well, Chad, I hope this gives you something to think about. If you have more questions, feel free to contact me anytime and I'll get back to you ASAP. And I reminded him that I wrote a book all about over-the-road driving called Trucking Life. Link in the show notes. And he did write me back. He says, I was gone a few days a week, sometimes all week, but even when close to home, I'd sleep in my truck at a truck stop. It was easier for me to just stay in the truck than come by my house because most of the time it was late at night. Running regional, I never ran legal hours, so loose leaf logbooks was my best friend. I have no wife or family, so staying away from home doesn't bother me. Seeing different places and being away from home is what attracted me to regional driving. I guess what's holding me back is not knowing if I'm a good enough driver to drive over the road and be able to transcend from day cab truck and shorter trailer to a bigger truck and longer trailer. I'm low on confidence. I make around $21,000, $23,000 annually. How much more would I make over the road? Now, I know expenses would be more over the road. I work 14 hours most of the time, so I usually don't get much home time, and that's what gets me down the most about local. All right. Well, Chad, your home time could certainly be worse than it is now. Even if you found a regional company that would get you home every weekend, their definition of weekend usually means 34 hours off. That's just enough time to reset your 70-hour work week. And then they want you back on the road. Most over-the-road companies will give you 1 to 2 days off for every week you stay out. And one super cool thing is that most carriers will let you take your home time anywhere you want. So if you put your home time for Las Vegas, boom, you just got paid to drive to Las Vegas. Providing they have freight going there, obviously. Now, I wouldn't worry about being a good enough driver. Lots of companies hire newbies straight out of school all the time, and you've got loads of experience on them. Trust me here, newbies generally grind gears something awful during their first road test, and many of them have to take multiple stabs at backing before they get it right. Heck, even old hands like me usually have to pull up at least once to adjust, often 3 to 4 times depending on the spot. As far as a longer trailer, you'll get used to it fairly quickly. I would just tell the recruiter that you only have experience with shorter trailers and day cabs and see what they have to say. Just talk to them openly. Some of them may want to send you out with a trainer for a week or so, just to give you some time to get used to the extra length. These refresher courses are usually pretty laid back as you already know how to drive. The trainer's just there to be a second pair of eyes and help you with company procedures and stuff like that. And if some recruiter doesn't want you because you don't have experience with 53-footers, then someone else will. Seriously, you're not going to have trouble finding an over-the-road job. You really aren't. As for your over-the-road expenses, they can be ridiculous if you don't watch it. You just need to get used to going into a grocery store and stocking your truck with food and getting a microwave instead of eating in truck stops every day. Save eating out for a treat. That's what I do, and I'm perfectly alive right now. Common knowledge is that a new trucker will make right around $40,000 a year. Could be $45,000 if you're really good. It could be less, though, if you take the first company that wants to hire you. Just be smart and don't jump at the first opportunity. Pick up some trucking magazines at the truck stops and see who's offering higher pay. And since you've got some experience, that should keep you from starting out on the bottom rung, too, so that's cool. If you're selective, you could make well over $40,000 your first year. The Evil Overlord and I both made closer to $50,000 each our first year. Granted, we were a team at a solo-oriented company, and we got a lot of miles for it. But still, whatever you do will be a big upgrade from what you're currently earning. Now, I hate to be a marketing jerk, but I'd also like to point out that I talk about all this kind of stuff in trucking life. Chapter 4 is all about money. There's also a chapter about home time. Not saying you need to buy it. I'm perfectly willing to answer your questions here. Just keep it in mind that it was written for guys exactly like you who are looking to get into trucking. If you're interested, my website will tell you more. Enough book whoring. AboutTruckDriving.com. Click on ebooks in the navigation bar. Anyway, I had a lot of fun there with Chad. I love helping. Like I said, I love helping guys out who are trying to make decisions like this. The thing is, I can't make their decision for them. I think people just want to be told what to do. Sometimes they're like, just tell me, should I do it or shouldn't do I? But I don't want to be blamed for this stuff, and everybody's so different, you know? I don't know. Maybe, you know, he'll love it. It sounds like he really wants to hit the road and see lots of things. He's single. He's got nothing holding him back. Seems like a great thing for him, but, you know, hey, the only way to know is to do it. But anyway, okay, that finishes that up. I guess we're done. Like I say, get your comments in. Maybe it'll be on the next podcast or the following one. Depends on what I'm looking at here. Yeah, I don't have hardly anything on here, so get it in. truckerdump@gmail.com. Turn it up to 31, dudes. So how much of truck safety hinges on fate? Leave your comments on abouttruckdriving.com by searching for TD118 or shooting me an email at truckerdump@gmail.com. Or holler at me on Twitter where I'm at Todd McCann. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. Or hey, join the new Trucker Dump Slack group and catch me over there. Again, that's truckerdump@gmail.com, subject line Slack. If you never want to miss an episode, then make sure you subscribe through iTunes, Google Play, or through your favorite podcast app. There's also a subscribe button on abouttruckdriving.com. And don't forget to tell your friends. As always, thanks for being patient and continuing to listen. So until next time, drive safe, stay out of my way.